So what's on the docket for today?
Oh Lord. So I'm gonna be transparent with these people, right?
Okay.
We never reshoot, but our mic's messed up.
So we got to reshoot.
So this is a reshoot, but I haven't seen what we shot the first time, so it'll still be original, guys. But I hadn't looked at it, and so I don't. We loathe reshoots. Loathe. We don't like them. We like to come in here and have you guys see the natural chemistry and interaction. But I'm gonna attempt to get back what was lost.
We will get it back.
Yeah, we'll get it back. You straight?
Straight.
All right. So this whole Anthony Edwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am O.
And I am Nigeal Comaneci.
And we are
Candid and Clear.
We are the best podcast that will bring you politics, current events, and relationship issues.
Let me tell you what I need you to do. Go out and like, comment, share, and subscribe across all social media platforms.
Aisha Howard.
Before we do that, let's say this. Guys, there was a local situation where a young African-American male, it is alleged that he was assaulted by some students of the Caucasian persuasion. And it originally, when the story came out, they were at a high school track meet. When the story came out, it was stated that he was the aggressor. And the Caucasian's son or the Caucasian parents of the child that passed away as a result of this incident jumped all on every media platform that they could and did all the interviews that they could, painting their son to be something really similar to a saint, and themselves to be a victim. They even came out roughly 8 hours after the incident saying that the African-American male needed to be, they were going to forgive him, but they wanted to see justice served. We are now in a space. When I first heard that story, I told my sister, there's a whole lot missing here. I don't like it. So let's just wait and see what comes out. But it's now been stated that the young African-American male was not the aggressor. And he is indeed a victim. And he took the stand your ground stance. If you know this kid, I don't know this kid, I don't know his parents, but if you know this kid and you know his parents, listen, on the GoFundMe, they have raised $355,000 as of yesterday for him. Go get him a good lawyer. The lawyer that I saw come online and make statements for them was a civil lawyer. The other lawyer was not a criminal attorney. He needs Toby shook. If he can't do that, Brody and Mickelson, those are his people. They got the money. Go get the lawyers that is going to help share his side and his interpretation of the events. And they're going to go out and find the crowd and the people who was right there, and they're going to walk them into the courtroom. Because this is not in Dallas and it is in Frisco, he needs really good representation. The reputation of the two lawyers that they have hired, to me, based on the feedback that I see online, it is trash. Get that boy a lawyer. If you know them folk, go by there, tell them, I said, Toby Shook, who is currently representing Yellow Beezy, Brody and Mickelson. Go get somebody that can get him off. Those are my 2 cents.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. That's a big issue. Representation.
The representation is huge
for our community is a thing.
In that community, it's going. They're going to have to hear it from somebody who looks like them.
Now,
yeah,
we do live in a society where the first person that gets the microphone is going to be believed. In most cases.
I agree that in most cases, but the only problem was I, like all of the rest of my aunties and my sisters out here, my cousins, we all thought something was off because why y'all on TV like that ain't been but 8 hours.
You haven't even mourned the loss.
You haven't even mourned the loss of your child, and you're saying things like, "I forgive him, but I want justice to be served."
You forgive him already
for what?
What do you know about your
child? What do you know about the interaction that led to these events? You don't know enough just yet. So to start saying that, let me tell you something, guys. I can tell you this right here. I am saved or whatever. I am God's favorite girl. But if you cross me, I am equally savage. You understand that? That I know a whole lot of scriptures, but I also know a whole lot of other words. And if you cross me, I immediately become a savage. I do not think about forgiving you. That is not my first thought. So please understand that. And if you know pain like this pain, then you know that wasn't their first thought either.
So here's the thing that's funny to me.
Yeah.
Apparently he was sitting in a section that they didn't want him sitting. No problem.
Well, he was sitting there fine with all the other people that was there.
Right.
You walked up and didn't want him
Fair.
sitting there.
100%.
Yeah.
So at that point, the individuals that did not want him sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
you got cops all around, you got faculty and staff all
Mm-hmm.
around. Why not go get them?
Well, who would have went and got him? The other kids sitting there?
Well, who had a problem with him sitting where he was sitting?
Just the ones that walked up.
Okay. Why didn't you go do? No, he the deal.
Well, here's the thing. Let me explain to clarify two things. It was said originally that it was alleged that the people that walked up and didn't want him sitting there said they were their tents. The tents belong to the school.
That is
They are not right. They are not your
the
tents.
bleachers belong to the school. The tents belong to the school.
So you don't have the right.
You don't have the right
to ask anybody to get up and
now,
go
if
anywhere
you feel
else.
someone is sitting in a place that they shouldn't, go get the proper authorities. You're not the proper authority. Now, my question is, I am a big fan of the why behind the what.
Sure.
A lot of information came out. Apparently, the individual that was stabbed was a twin brother, of whom which both twins were allegedly bullies. Okay.
It is alleged that they have been aggressive.
They approached this young man. He was by himself.
Well, I think there were people around him,
There were people around.
none willing to speak on his behalf. But it's my understanding it's not their first time approaching him.
He was by himself.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
He was defending himself.
No. Hold on. He absolutely defended himself, and because it wasn't their first interaction,
there we go.
He was prepared.
He was prepared. It was 2-1.
Yeah.
It was 2-1, and they're trying to hide the fact that wasn't their first interaction. Nonetheless, my question is, what has this young man gone through to where he feels the need to take a knife to school, period?
Well, let's just say this. He's not at school. He's at a track meet. He's in an open space.
On the school campus?
It matters neither here nor there. He is prepared to defend himself.
Right.
So the question is not, why did he take a knife to a school event? The question is, why did he feel the need, right, to acquire an instrument to protect himself? That is a better question.
That's
right?
where I'm going.
Because everybody wants to ask about why is a knife at school. Knives are at school already. You have them over there when you get ready to eat.
What encouraged him to feel the need to take a weapon to defend himself? Something had to happen.
Anywhere. Yeah.
Anywhere. Something has to happen. Something's going on.
There is a trigger.
Yeah.
That we have not discussed, that nobody is openly discussing. And
because if we openly discuss that, we're going to expose the fact that this glorified little boy who is actually a bully is going to be exposed for being
he's
a bully.
alleged to be a bit bully.
Exactly.
I think, and we're going to say it in a way that makes sense for everybody watching, right? We know that because there's a trigger that we have not been made aware of just yet, probably won't hear about that trigger until the trial, then we know that there's potential, the potential that the people who are being painted as the victims, that it is highly likely were the aggressors. And their actions, get up, don't sit here, you don't belong here, whatever the statements were, right? They were triggering.
Right.
Those were the triggers, because if you've experienced that type of behavior before, then you know what comes next. Because that behavior never ends with, oh, I'll just sit here. And we know that because we know what happened on the bus. Right. I want you to get up.
Right.
When you don't get up, we have several instances where we've seen these examples throughout our history, particularly in the African American community. So it's never, hey, I'll leave if you don't get up and do what I say. I've never seen, I don't know any. If you know something, you can share them. Guys, if you know anything about that, shoot it to us in the comments, because we love to explore that.
It's a messed up situation because of where it is. Okay, I do assume the idea that this little African American boy was surrounded by Caucasian people, and two of those decided to approach. At the end of the day, it's 2-1. Okay, He chose to level the playing field.
Sure.
FAFO. You effed around and you found out.
Well,
He just wasn't for that bullying today.
I think
It is what
this,
it is.
when you walk up to a person, and I want to say this because people are not saying this, right? When you walk up to a person and you ask them to leave a seat, your only intent is to humiliate them.
I agree.
There is nothing
Unless you have assigned
positive.
seats.
But unless there's something like you're in my seat, I have a ticket. Here
Right.
is my ticket for
Excuse me.
302. Excuse me.
Right.
We would like to sit in the seats that we pay for. Right. Something like that.
Versus the we don't want you here. Why are you here?
Right.
Get out of your seat. You know?
Right. The insults that were hurled, right, regarding his race and ethnicity. Guys, I can't see anything except humiliation. I can't. It's a targeted attack. Number one, we need to understand that it's targeted. We need to understand that your intentions, nothing about your intentions were good. As far as I'm concerned, the guy defended himself. And the other thing is, if there were events that preceded this and incidents very similar that preceded this, then he is well within. No, he's well within his rights to defend himself. He's because he knows how this ends, and that is the way that he responded.
If there are any charges, I see him being charged with having a weapon on campus, but I don't. I'm just hoping they do what they're supposed to do with this money. Apparently, they shut down his GoFundMe account because the powers that be didn't want him to have legal.
They don't want him to have legal representation.
However,
and guys, if they return your money to you, drive out there to Frisco and give it. Give this money. He will need it. I'm gonna say this: the representation that it takes to get him off is not cheap.
It's not gonna be cheap at all.
It's not gonna be cheap at all. And spending money to go on a media circuit and do all that, you don't need that. You better serve him and his case waiting until you got to the courtroom, because there has to be an element of surprise. Because the one thing that you need to know, I am not a legal expert, but I work closely with the law in what I do. And I'm going to tell you this: everybody sitting on that jury gonna think they already know what happened.
Facts.
So you don't do him any justice getting out doing news media right now. They've already beat you to that. Let that go.
They've already beat.
Your best plan of attack is the element of surprise. And that is my personal opinion, but I can tell you right now, if you talk to the right legal expert, they will echo that sentiment to the family.
I think this situation will pan out to where he'll get a couple charges for having the weapon on campus. But not to say, but however, in addition to, excuse me.
Well, I believe that the truth will prevail.
I think so.
Yeah, that is what the only hope that I have.
He won't get off scot-free because
he won't get off scot-free. But anything outside of time served. Yeah, because here is the thing: there is a victim here. It is not the one that the media is saying, as that's not the victim.
Because had you minded your business, you are not allowed. See, here's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. We got so many cases. Because if we look at the Zimmerman case with Trayvon Martin, Trayvon Martin was unarmed.
Right.
Zimmerman was armed. What they did in that moment of time, when it comes down to necessity, and in the state of Texas, it's Penal Code 9.22. Penal Code 9.22 says is if you feel that it is necessary to use lethal force to prevent you from being hurt, killed, any facet of the threat, it is your legal right to defend yourself. However, that does go to I fear for my life, the one that the black community hates so much. But that is a law. Yeah. Penal Code 9.22. Go look it up. And what happened in the Zimmerman case, was Zimmerman wrong? Absolutely, in approaching Trayvon. However, Trayvon was getting the best of Zimmerman.
We know that. And
in that moment, that's when Zimmerman reached for the firearm to neutralize that entire situation.
Right.
Okay. Now, what the courts did, and the attorney did, they looked at that one snapshot in time. What was going on when Karmelo, when he pulled that gun, when he pulled the knife out? What was going on in that snapshot in time?
Right, right.
And what we like to do is we like to bring in everything, what happened prior to.
No.
The snapshot in time.
Right.
Can we legally articulate that he felt it necessary to use that weapon to defend himself? Okay, knife, whatever. It could have been a pen. It literally could have been
Absolutely
a pen in his book bag, right?
I believe we just shared with his family the strategy.
Yeah.
We just gave you
that's it.
the play. If you
Get
watch in this, right, and if y'all know him, like I said, get this video to him. We just gave you $1 million worth of game.
Facts.
Right.
100% facts.
We just 100%. We gave you $1 million worth of free game. Now you would be remiss if you didn't use everything that we just said. We just told you what was really important here. It doesn't matter about anything else. Doesn't matter that this has happened before. There are no trick. I feared for my life. 100%. There were 2 people and I was one person. And although I was sitting in a group of people, nobody assisted me.
I appreciate our civil rights attorneys.
Yeah.
However, we have lost a lot of people to the system because we want to civil rights attorney make it a race issue when we need to look at the legal stuff. Let's do the civil suit later. Let's do that later.
Yeah, do that way later because that's between you and the school district.
Yeah, let's
do Brody Mickelson, right? Or Toby Shook. Let's do one of them. Those ones right there. I like them. I really do. They get the job done. They get paid too much. They get paid way too much not to. And here is the thing: this case is a career maker.
Oh, facts.
Oh yeah, it's a career maker.
Why you think the civil rights attorney jumping on it?
Exactly, but we don't want them. Not for criminal defense. We don't want them.
You need the best criminal defense attorney the DFW can offer.
That DFW can offer. And I'm telling you,
they out there.
Brody Mickelson, I'm telling you, Toby Shook, if you can't get him and he's so busy and booked up with Yella, go down to Brody Mickelson and sit in them chairs. Right? Thanks. So
good job.
Okay.
I think that's a thing.
That's a wrap.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am O.
And I am Nigeal Comaneci.
And we are
Candid and Clear.
We are the best podcast that will bring you politics, current events, and relationship issues.
Let me tell you what I need you to do. Go out and like, comment, share, and subscribe across all social media platforms.
We like, comment,
share, subscribe.